Hi everybody, it's Abigail. I was looking forward to seeing you all at the library this summer, but since I can't be there in person, I'm glad to be talking to you through your computer screen. Speaking of talking to you, I got a letter from a friend in the mail, and I thought I would share it with you guys. Dear Abigail, at the beginning of the summer, everything started to change so fast. I didn't know what to do, and I was a little bit scared. What should I do? Well, this is a great question. I remember what it was like to be little, but secretly, big kids and adults get really scared of change too. So I wonder what we should do when we're scared of change. Do you have any suggestions, Eeyore? Read a book about it? That's a great idea, but where will we find a book? Check under your pillow. Eeyore, you picked the perfect book. It's called The Big Orange Spot by Daniel Menas Pinkwater. Mr. Plumbean lived on a street where all the houses were the same. He liked it that way. So did everybody else on Mr. Plumbean Street. This is a neat street, they would say. Then one day, a seagull flew over Mr. Plumbean's house. He was carrying a can of bright orange paint. No one knows why. And he dropped the can. No one knows why. Right over Mr. Plumbean's house. It made a bright orange splot on Mr. Plumbean's house. Ooh, too bad, everybody said. Mr. Plumbean will have to paint his house again. I suppose I will, said Mr. Plumbean. But he didn't paint his house right away. He looked at the big orange splot for a long time. Then he went about his business. His neighbor got tired of seeing the big orange splot. Someone said, Mr. Plumbean, we wish you'd get around to painting your house. Okay, said Mr. Plumbean. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy. He painted at night because it was cooler. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue, the walls were white, and the big orange spot was still there. Then he got some more paint. He got red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and purple paint. The next morning, the other people on the street came out of their houses. Their houses were all the same. But Mr. Plumbean's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. There was a big orange spot, and there were little orange spots. There were stripes, there were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls and steam shovels. And people said, Mr. Plumbean has popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. They went away muttering. That day, Mr. Plumbean bought carpenter's tools, and that night he built a tower on top of his roof and painted a clock on the tower. The next day, the people said, Plumbean has gushed his mush, lost his marbles, and slipped his hosher. They decided they would pretend not to notice it. That very night, Mr. Plumbean got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn bushes, onions, frangipani, and that morning he bought a hammock and an alligator. When the people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbean swinging in a hammock between two palm trees. They saw an alligator lying in the grass, and Mr. Plumbean was drinking lemonade. Plumbean has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Plumbean, what have you done to your house? The people shouted. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams, Mr. Plumbean said. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbean to go and have a talk with him. Tell him that we all liked the house before he changed it. Tell him that his house has got to be the same as ours so we can have a neat street. The man went to see Mr. Plumbean that evening. They sat under the palm tree drinking lemonade and talking all night. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint. When the people came out of their houses, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to Mr. Plumbean. What have you done to your house? They shouted at the man. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams, said the man, who had always loved ships. He's just like Mr. Plumbean, the people said. He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry, and knots in his noodle. Then one by one, they went to see Mr. Plumbean late at night. They would sit under the palm tree and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbean's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his own house to fit his dreams. Look at all of their dream houses. That one's a hot air balloon. And there's a castle. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbean and his neighbors, the stranger would say, "This is not a neat street." Then all the people would say, "Our street is us and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all our dreams." And there's Mr. Plumbean's house. So what we learned from the Big Orange Splot is that while change can seem scary and different at first, if you talk to the people around you, usually it's not a bad thing. And it can even make you and your friends feel a lot more comfortable and happy. You know, Eeyore, helping that friend felt really good. Maybe we should check and see if there's more viewers we can help. Dear Abigail, sometimes I watch the news with my family, and it seems like everything in the world is so bad. How can I help? I'm so small. Well, first of all, when you're a kid, it's not your job to help everyone. It's your job to have fun. But sometimes helping does make you feel good. Eeyore, what do you do if you feel too small to help? Read a book about it. Do you have another book under your pillow? Because a Little Bug Went Ka-Choo by Rosetta Stone. You may not believe it, but here's how it happened. One fine summer morning, a little bug sneezed. Ka-Choo! Because of that sneeze, a little seed dropped. And because that seed dropped, a worm got hit. Because he got hit, that worm got mad. Because he got mad, he kicked a tree. Because of that kick, a coconut dropped. And because that nut dropped, a turtle got bopped. Because he got bopped, that turtle named Jake fell on his back with a splash in the lake. Because of that splash, a hen got wet. And because she got wet, that hen got mad. Because she got mad, that hen kicked a bucket. And because of that kick, the bucket went up. Because it went up, the bucket came down. Because it came down, it hit Farmer Brown. And that bucket got stuck on his head. Because it got stuck, Farmer Brown phoned for help. Because of his phone call, the policeman came speeding. Because they were speeding, they hit a big stone, and so one policeman flew up all alone. Because he flew up, he had to come down. Because he came down on the boat Mary Lou, and because he hit hard, he went right through. He made a big hole in the boat Mary Lou. Because of that hole, the boat started to sink, and because it was sinking, well, what do you think? Everyone started to yelp, and Miss Brown called on the phone for more help. Because of her phone call, more help came fast, and they tied a strong rope to Mary Lou's mast. And because of that rope, the boat didn't go down, but it had to be fixed, so they headed for town. And because they went there, it's true, I'm afraid, they ran right into a circus parade. And that started something they'll never forget. And as far as I know, it is going on yet. And that's how it happened. Believe me, it's true. Just because a small bug went ka-choo. So what we can learn from Because a Little Bug Went Ka-Choo is that even little things can make a big change sometimes. So even helping your mom put away cups or drawing your dad a picture can seem really small, but can make them feel better, which can mean they'll help other people, and then those people will help other people, and then the world is a better place. Speaking of making the world a better place, I think we have time for one more letter before I have to tell everyone bye. Dear Abigail, when I spend time at home, I want to play with my mom, dad, and siblings. But sometimes they don't want to play the same things as me. What do? I can get so bored and they won't play my games. I don't know, Eeyore, this one seems tough. What should we do if we want to play games and people don't want to play with us? Of course you have another book. This one is called Fun in the Sun by Sky Michaels. Up went the sun. It was a hot sun. It was a hot day. It was a hot, sunny day. Billy Beaver got up. He looked out. What a sunny day, said Billy. What a good day to play! Billy Beaver went out. I will have fun in the sun, said Billy. Did Billy have fun? No, he wanted to play, but there was no one to play with. The sun was hot. It was too hot. No one was playing out in the sun. This is not fun, said Billy. I want someone to play with. Billy went to see Mandy Mouse. Mandy Mouse was fun to play with. Would Mandy play with Billy Beaver? Mandy Mouse was sitting in the shade of a big tree. Do you want to play? Said Billy. It would be fun to play in the sun. Oh no, said Mandy. The sun is too hot today. The shade is cool. I do not want to play. Away went Billy Beaver. He went to look for someone else to play with. Billy went to see Fred Fox. Fred Fox was fun to play with. Was it too hot for Fred to play? Will you play today? Said Billy Beaver. It is sunny. We can have fun. Fred Fox was having a drink of cool water. What? Cried Fred. Play today? It is too hot. I do not want to play. I would rather have some cool water. There's cool water in the brook, said Billy. We can play in the water. We can swim in the water. We can play and swim. Swimming is fun. Swimming is fun, said Fred, but we cannot swim in the brook. The brook's water is cool, but it's not deep enough to swim in. Away went Billy Beaver. What a day! It was sunny and no one would play. Mandy Mouse would not play. Fred Fox would not play. Was it that hot? Billy went to see Ron Raccoon. Ron liked to play. Would Ron Raccoon play on this hot day? Ron Raccoon was making a fan. A fan is good to have on a hot day. Do you want to play? Said Billy. The sun is up. We can have fun. Ron did not want to play. Do you want to make a fan? He asked Billy. I can fan you. You can fan me. We can be cool on a hot sunny day. No, said Billy Beaver. I do not like to make fans. Ron said, What do beavers like to make? Beavers like to make dams, said Billy. Billy stopped. A beaver dam, he cried. I must go. Wait, cried Ron Raccoon. What are you going to do? But Billy Beaver did not hear him. Away went Billy. Billy Beaver went to the brook. What a good place for a beaver dam. Billy looked at the brook. A beaver dam will stop the water, he said. The cool water will get deep. It will be a good place to swim. He looked up at the sun. It is too hot to play, he said, but it's not too hot to make a beaver dam. Billy went to work. The beaver dam went up. Billy's dam stopped the cool brook water. The water got deeper and deeper. It was a good beaver dam. What a good place to swim. I will have fun in the sun, said Billy. Will someone swim with me? Billy Beaver went to see Mandy Mouse. I made a beaver dam, he said. We can get cool in the water. We can have fun. Mandy got up out of the shade. I want to have fun in the sun, she cried. I will go swimming. Billy went to see Fred Fox. I stopped up the brook, said Billy. The water is cool and deep. We can swim in it. Yeah, cried Fred. I want to play. I'll swim with you. Billy went to see Ron Raccoon. Do you want to make fans, he said, or do you want to swim? I want to swim, cried Ron Raccoon. Mandy Mouse went to the brook. Fred Fox went to the brook. Ron Raccoon went to the brook. And at the brook they saw Billy. They saw his beaver dam. They saw the deep, cool water. What a good place to swim, cried Fred. Billy looked at Mandy Mouse. He looked at Fred Fox and Ron Raccoon. Into the water, he shouted. A sunny day is fun, said Mandy. Swimming is fun, said Fred Fox. Billy Beaver is fun, said Ron Raccoon. He knows how to play on a hot, sunny day. So what did Billy do when he wanted to play but no one wanted to play with him? He changed what he was doing so that everyone could be included. It's like when you want to play freeze tag, but your brother doesn't like freezing in place, so you compromise and play regular tag. Well, guys, I had lots of fun reading my favorite books with you and answering your letters, and I hope that we all learned something out of all of them. In Fun in the Sun, we learned that sometimes we have to change what we're doing so that everyone can be included. And because a little bug went ka-choo, we learned something super small can make a big difference. And in The Big Orange Spot, we learned that change isn't bad, especially when we talk to the people around us and find out what makes them happy. Well, Eeyore, I think it's about time we say goodbye to everyone. And even though I can't be there to give you all a hug in person, I'll give you one big virtual hug and one last goodbye.